Alright, so now it's time to talk about Grease 2, a movie that I believe is not as bad as people make it out to be. I first bought it at Shopko, as I said before, because I'm a completionist, and so I decided to buy it and I popped it in. And I really don't think it's that bad. I enjoy it for what it is. There are a few little problems with it, and I'll get to that, but overall, I think it's pretty good. Enjoyed it this time. Uh, so story time with Scotty. There's the Grease 2 there. When I was a kid, I was big fans of the first Grease, and I had a babysitter. And my mom had to work. My grandma wasn't available to watch, I think, and my sister was really little. I think she was maybe 1 or 2. And so I stayed over at my babysitter's parents' house because she was still in high school. So I stayed there, and they had Grease 2. And did I have Grease 2? So we started watching it, and I'm like, where's Danny? Where's Sandy? Where's all these characters? So I dismissed it, and for years, I hated on this film. Oh, it's nothing like the original. There's none of the original characters came back. It sucks. And then when I actually sat down and watched it, it's not that bad. In my opinion, it's not as good as the original, but it's still pretty good. So, so what I like about this movie is that you get some of the cast from the first one back. You get McGee and Blanche, the principal and the principal's assistant. You get the coach, who I failed to mention in the first film, was played by the late great Sid Caesar, and he doesn't get much to do in this one. He had a small role in the first one too, I guess, but he has a little bit. And he's ready to basketball, bouncing around. Mr. Spears is played by an actor who was in the first one, where he was a different character, and his running gag is that he's like on edge all the time, and he's always like getting scared. It's okay. The funniest part about the running joke is at the end when he walks into the pool, and then like the next time we see him, he's bone dry. Ball Muto, or Leo, whatever you want to call him, is back in this one. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same character, because they were a Grease gang that drove cars in the first one, and now they're a Grease gang that rides motorcycles. That's the thing now, is that the gangs, they ride motorcycles instead of cars. And the most notable character coming back is Frenchy, although she sort of disappears around the third act-ish. Like, she shows up for a scene to talk to Michael, who's our new main character, like in like a chemistry class, and then we don't see her again for the rest of the film. She's not at the end. She's not at the luau. She's just gone. They say she can't. She says she comes back to get her chemistry because she failed tinting, and so she's trying to get chemistry so she can do something. And yeah, I don't know. She's the character that makes sense because having dropped out of Rydell and then went to beauty school and then dropped out and then came back to Rydell, it makes sense that she didn't have enough to graduate, I guess. But the story of the film is somewhat the same. We got a new student coming in who falls for an existing student who's part of a gang, only this time it's a male student, that of Michael, Sandy's cousin. And listen, I don't know if the filmmakers realize this. Okay, so I get it, you could have cousins that live in different countries, but here's the thing. Sandy is Australian. Michael is British. That's not the same country. It's not the same thing. If she can have cousins from another country, she can very well have a cousin from England, but it feels like the filmmakers are saying, oh, they both have a Union Jack on their flag. Same thing. It's what it makes me think, but I don't know. I'm not the filmmaker's head. Michael's our Sandy character in this one, and he falls for the head pink lady Stephanie, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, the pink ladies consist of Michelle Pfeiffer's Stephanie. Maureen Teefy plays Sharon, and you may know her from the awful Supergirl movie, although I haven't seen it, so I can't. But I've seen clips of it. And Lorna Luft plays Paulette, and she's better known as the daughter of Wizard of Oz chick. Dorothy. No, that's her name. Oh, I'm blanking on it. You guys are probably yelling at me. I can't think of her name. Hold on. I hate to get up, but I'm losing my mind here. It's not there. Judy Garland. Judy Garland. She's Judy Garland's daughter. I couldn't think of the name. Sorry, I got up. Yeah, Judy Garland's daughter on her left. And her sister in this is played by a young Pamela Adlon. Very young. She's like 12 here, I think. And then we have T-Birds. Oh, there's also Rhonda. I don't know the actress's name. But we have the T-Birds. There is the leader, Johnny Nagarelli. Played by Adrian Zmed. We got Damucci, played by Peter Franchette. Whose character, I always think this is ironic. Funny. It's kind of funny. His character is always trying to make it with his girlfriend. But in real life, Peter Franchette is homosexual. So I always think that's kind of funny. He's trying to make it with his girlfriend, but in real life, he has no interest in women. So that's just kind of funny. Christopher Mcdonald, yes, that Christopher Mcdonald, plays Goose. And he's one of the funniest parts of this movie. And then there's also Davy, who's the other member. And so one thing that is different is that now there's a rule that only, like, because even it comes from Frenchy, so maybe that's how we're supposed to accept it. Oh, it's a character from the first movie saying this, but this rule didn't exist in the first film. Is that you can only date a pink lady if you're a T-Bird. And I'm assuming vice versa, but Sandy and Danny were seeing each other before Sandy even became a pink lady. Sure, she was hanging out with them, but she wasn't officially a pink lady. Frenchie asked them and they didn't make up their mind yet. She wasn't a pink lady till the end. And actually, if you think about it, I don't think she ever officially became a pink lady, to be honest, because she never wore the jacket, I don't think. So I don't know, but somehow there's this rule now. And this would make sense if they used it in the first one. Like I said in my review, the first one, they used this rule as to why they can't be together instead of having Danny act like an ass. You know? But yeah, I like the characters in this film. I think all the characters are pretty good. What I really like is that they actually spend time in the school. The first film was lacking a lot of school scenes. They're supposed to be in high school, but there was barely any scenes in the school. There was the gym, and there was the gym, and there was the front of the school, and there was the gym. There wasn't much of anything. Like, you saw hallways. Speaking of hallways, there's a hallway scene that kind of bugs me because it wouldn't play out like this. So, much like the first film, the teenagers are allowed to just smoke wherever. 60s now. It takes place in 62, I think. But, however, T-Birds are walking down the hallway, and Miss McGee catches up with them in a scene that's supposed to be like the scene where she runs down Sunny in the first one. But Johnny Nagarelli is smoking, so he puts the cigarette, flipped it into his mouth, and then after with talking with Miss McGee, Goose slaps him on his back and he swallows it, and he just goes, water. I'm like, no. Do you have any idea how hot the cherry on a cigarette is? It's not it's I've been accidentally burnt by those things on my arm. They hurt like fucking hell. There's no way he's like, water, water. No, he'd be screaming bloody murder. It's not realistic. It's a movie, I know, in a movie where there is fantasy scenes. Won't get to the songs, because the songs are sort of a problem I have. But we'll get to that. They're good songs. No problem with there, but we'll get to it. So yeah, the story is that Michael is now trying to impress Stephanie. She only dates someone who is, in her words, a cool rider. Someone who, rides a cycle. It's like a T-bird. And so he buys a cycle from a junkyard, somehow gets it to work, and starts riding it around and even faces off against Balmuto and his gang. This makes him this mysterious man and the object of Stephanie's affection. However, on this rewatch, I was like, why don't they figure out who it is? Especially Stephanie. Michael asks her out. She tells him she wants someone who's a cool rider on a motorcycle. And by magic, a couple days later, this guy shows up. And then later, even when they're talking at the diner, like, the talk and stuff, when she starts talking about the guy, he's like, oh, really? He's like this, and he's like, look at him. By the way, that scene kind of bugs me because she's supposed to have a hamburger, right? But there's a scene where you see her holding it, and it's like a ham sandwich. Like there's ham or turkey or some kind of lunch meat hanging off of it, but it's supposed to be a hamburger, and then she put ketchup, and it's like covered in ketchup. I don't know, it's really weird. It's really weird. I don't know. It's really weird. Yeah, so he's doing this to impress her, and this leads to a showdown with the... Okay, so one thing that's very confusing is Nagarelli. Now, they're playing up that he's the leader of the T-Birds, and she's the leader of the Pink Ladies, so they should go out. And he gets jealous whenever she's flirting with or around any other guys, right? And like, hey, you and me, we're supposed to be together. But then he's also trying to get with Paulette, which is very confusing. And then, like, within the same scene, though, they're at the Bolorama, which they go bowling in this, I guess, instead of it just being a diner. But they go bowling, and he's like, what about the trophy for first prize? Because they won. And so Paulette comes up and kisses him, and he goes, well, what about the other trophy for highest score or whatever? And so he wants to kiss Stephanie. He's like, dude, you just got this chick. And I feel bad for Paulette because she just gets pushed aside until the end of the film. And it doesn't make any sense to me because he wants to be with Paulette, but he also wants Stephanie. And there's even a scene, like 3/4 way through the film, where he's like, I'm officially declaring us as an item over. Done. And hand in your Pink Lady jacket. Like, if she's not dating him, she can't be Pink Lady. I don't think that's how that works. Because, I don't know. I don't know if that's how it works. And so it makes him, okay, now he's done chasing her. But then, the very next scene, the cool rider guy, Michael, in disguise, rides up to meet her at the talent show, which is our dance for this one. And they show up and chase him off. I'm like, wait, if he's declaring him done, why is he still going after him, other than he's got a grudge? And they do this thing where Michael jumps over this big chasm, or whatever you call it, and they think he's dead. And I do like that they don't show Michael playing the piano. He could have been him playing the piano, but we don't see who's playing the piano. So it could be him, could be someone else, but it's up to the audience to decide whether or not he actually survived. How they handle it is when they do this luau, which is supposed to be like the fair at the end of the first one. We had an action set piece where Balmuto and his gang show up and tear the place up. And the one thing I'll say, it's a negative with the T-Bird, is they made them fucking chicken shits in this. They made them chicken shits in this movie. The T-Birds in the first one were ready to fight at a moment's notice. Here, they act all tough, but as soon as they're met with any kind of resistance, like, whoa! Like, they're just scared. And it's like, okay, I get it's more realistic, but these T-Birds are supposed to be tough, and they just run away. And so we get this big scene where the gang show up and like destroying stuff. Slapstick with pies going in Davy's face, or a cake going in his face, I should say. And then Michael shows up, and they're like, he's alive, it's him! And he jumps down off this thing, and all of a sudden he's now riding his motorcycle. Where that was, I don't know. Did he have his motorcycle on the side? Did he come in, park his motorcycle, then walk up on the thing and to jump down onto the motorcycle and then drive around? And there's this thing. Stephanie and Nagarelli are on this raft in the middle of this pool, this big pool. He jumps over them onto the other side. But then when the gang comes in on their cycles, the pool is just empty. Just empty. And they fall into the pool. And two of them fall in. And then the very next shot, they're back on the raft in the middle of the pool. How does that work? Huh? Continuity much? And yes, it's revealed it's Michael, but it's kind of not done very well because, like, it's painfully obvious it's him. If he wasn't there playing the piano, which we never see, like, why did no one ask, hey, where's Michael? He's supposed to be playing piano. Where's Michael? And we don't see him there. So we don't know if he's playing. And you could say, oh, by the fact that you don't see him playing piano at the talent show, then that means he was, like, they don't make a big fuss about it. Maybe he was there. They don't mention that he's missing. But I think it's more like, they want the audience to wonder if he's still alive. And like I said, they spend a lot of time at school. We get more teachers, we get tab hunters. There's one teacher, there's another teacher. The songs in this are really good. There's a couple times where it feels like, okay, I always say with musicals, when you have songs in a musical, they need to be songs that further the plot, further the story. You don't want songs that just stop everything. And it does, this does that twice. The first one is Charades, and this is basically Michael's hopelessly devoted song, where he has like an inner monologue, except for when he's singing out loud, I don't know, about this charade that he's playing about. He's basically two people and how it's eating him up inside and stuff, and it just kind of stops everything as he's walking through the lunchroom, and then he's in the gym, and I don't know, the auditorium or whatever, and it's just like, okay, but it kind of halts it. And the second one that does it is after Michael dies. During a song that's already going on, by the way, Stephanie has a fantasy and sings a song, Turn Back the Hands of Time, with a ghost Michael, I guess, or ghost writer. Not that ghost writer. A ghost cool writer, I guess. And again, it just stops everything as she's in this fantasy singing this song. And then in the end, they're all plotting. I'm like, okay, what are they plotting for? The Girl for All Seasons song or the song she just sang? And then this whole thing is that the guys want to win these long-playing albums, LPs, because Goose wants the Roy Orbisons. And at the end, both the guys and the girls win because, of course. And they get all the classical music. The guys get all the classical music. Well, what, no Roy Orbisons? I'm like, dude, they're your girlfriends. Just talk to them. Maybe you can get the Roy Orbisons. It bugs me. Who knows? But the songs are good, but I just feel like there's some songs that just kind of halt everything. And you could say they're filler songs because you're just going to fill things out. But there is one last thing to talk about with this movie. I think it's one last thing. But so after it's revealed that Michael is the cool writer guy, everyone's like, huh? Shakespeare? Because that's what they call him. Because he's British, so yeah, it's not stereotyping. But Nagarelli acts like he's going to punch him, and then he just hands him a jacket. And he's like, try this on. So he tries it on. But here's the thing. There was a couple conflicts here that are just solved like that. One, Johnny and Paulette. There's like three, actually. Johnny and Paulette. Johnny's involved. Johnny and Paulette. Johnny and Michael and Johnny and Stephanie. The Johnny and Stephanie thing is never really solved. She ends up with Michael. And Johnny and Paulette is just like he doesn't have respect for her, or so, like he treats her. He didn't treat her bad, but like she's walking around in her summer outfit thing for the talent show, and he's like, "Well, cover it up, cover it up. You will cover up," and that's Johnny Nagarelli's final word. And she's like, "Tell me what to do, Mr. Nagarelli," and but yeah, and that's just like he's like, "Jacket," and David's like, "One T-bird jacket," and accidentally throws it at Paulette, and he's like, "Jacket." She's like, "Jacket." I'm like, how does that solve anything? So he hands the jacket to Michael, he puts it on, and then their T-birds, they do this weird thing, and it's when they go, "Hey," I don't know where that came from, but I laugh. But yeah, and then he's just a T-bird. But I feel like this takes away the message from the first film, where, they both changed who they were so they could be with each other, only to find out that they changed to the opposite, and they realized, well, we could just be together, it doesn't matter. Here, by having Michael become a T-bird at the end of the film, and because the whole thing was that rule was hanging above everything. Oh, you cannot date her because she's a T-bird chick. She's, which, by the way, they even say at least until grad. So even if they can't date because of the rule, when they graduate, the rule is gone, right? So just, well, you can't date me because you're not a T-bird. Okay, let's wait like 2 days, and then you graduate, we can be together. All right. But no, they do the thing where, you're a T-bird now. But was it necessary? Again, there were 5 T-birds in the original. Was it necessary to do that? It doesn't really make much sense. Like, the message should be yourself and not try to be like others. That was the whole message of the first one. Even if it's not spelled out for you, that's what it was. Because, like, Danny's going to be a jock, and Sandy dressed up like a greaser. But then, look, they've kind of swapped. But now they're just going to be together anyway. It doesn't matter. And that should be the message here. But no, he has to be a T-bird. So by the end, he becomes a T-bird. But that shouldn't be the lesson. Look, you can only date her if you're a T-bird. He becomes a T-bird. I feel like that kind of deletes the message in the first one, if you're trying to get what I'm saying here. But I don't know. It's just really weird. And like I said with the music, this one doesn't like slow anything to a halt because it doesn't progress towards the end. But in contrast to the ending song from the first one, We Go Together, this one is We'll Be Together, but it's a slow song. We'll be together. It's a slow song. So it's kind of slower. It doesn't have that big. No, it's a slower song, which works. I like the way it ends, but also there's one thing that's kind of wouldn't go. Okay, it wouldn't go now, but so there was the thing where Michael and the sister, Paulette's little sister, Pamela Adlon's character, they kind of have a friendship going. And at the end, she's like, I gotta go off this relationship because I found someone else, and it's Davy, who is about to graduate and is probably 18, and she's 12 or 14. I don't remember what it was, 12 or 14. I don't think she's in high school yet. Maybe she starts the next day. I don't know how old she was there, but she's like, and then when they're singing "We'll Be Together" at first, they're like holding have arms around each other. I'm like, But at the end, when everybody's jumping up with their, as a couple, Davy's by himself. So I don't know why they changed that. It's weird, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Who knows? But overall, I don't think Grease 2 deserves the hate that it gets. I think it's actually a pretty good film. It's not as good as the first one, by any means. But I think it's a worthy follow-up. So, in my mind, in my eyes, if I can close this damn bottle, when it comes to Grease 2, I would say it's pretty good. So, what are your thoughts on Grease 2? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. I didn't do my intro. And I'm still recording. Hello? Yes, I'm an idiot.